In this video, we're going to show you how to install the Tusk Pannier Racks onto a Suzuki DR650. These racks are made to work seamlessly with the Tusk Panniers. These panniers are a durable and affordable way to pack and store your gear. For instructions on how to install the Tusk Panniers to these racks, refer to our pannier assembly and installation video. Now let's get started. The first step is to check and make sure that all the parts and hardware are accounted for. Once that's done, starting on one side, you can remove both the bolts holding the passenger foot pegs in place. Then you can move up and remove both the bolts holding the grab handles in place. You can leave these hanging for now. Once you have one side done, you can repeat this process for the other side. Now we are going to remove the helmet lock by unlocking it and leaving the locking bar open. We'll now use the supplied Torx T30 tool to remove the bolt from behind the locking bar. Once removed, you can then install it into the rear rack brace mount by inserting the Torx bolt through the helmet lock and threading it into the mount plate. Then using the Torx T30 tool again to tighten it down the rest of the way. Now we can start installing the pannier rack. Starting with the left side, you'll insert an 8mm by 20mm Allen bolt through the rack frame and thread it into the subframe at the top foot peg hole. Leave this loose for now. Now we're going to move up and line up the upper rack with the mounting holes. Then line up the grab handle on the outside of the upper rack. Once you have this lined up, you can then insert an 8mm by 20mm hex bolt into the rearmost opening through the grab handle and the rack, and then into the subframe. Again, leave this loose. Now we'll insert an 8mm by 40mm socket bolt into the frontmost hole. This should go through the grab handle, pannier rack, and then an 8mm by 4mm spacer. Once those are lined up, you can then thread it into the subframe. Now we'll install the passenger foot peg onto the outside of the lower pannier rack mount. Using an 8mm by 30mm Allen bolt, you'll thread it through the top bolt of the foot peg and the middle mount of the rack, and then into the subframe. You'll then use an 8mm by 30mm Allen bolt through the bottom foot peg hole and the bottom rack mount hole, and then through an 8mm washer and tighten onto an 8mm nylock nut, again leaving all these loose until we have the whole rack assembled. Now we can move to the other side of the bike and install the other half of the racks. For this bike, this will be the same steps that we just completed from the other side. And again, make sure you leave all the bolts loose on this side until further in the video. Now with both sides of the rack loosely installed, we can add the rear rack brace. Position the brace against the mounting points on the rack, with the helmet lock mount extending down on the left side of the bike. Then use the 4 provided 6mm by 30mm hex bolts to mount the brace. Each nut should go through the brace, the pannier rack, and then a 6mm washer, and then thread into the provided 6mm nylock nut. Once these are all loosely installed, we can then move through the bike starting from the front and tighten all the rest of the bolts. Once we have completely tightened up all the bolts on both sides of the racks, we will then move back up and install the signal extenders. These extenders make sure that our turn signals will clear the Tusk panniers that we'll be mounting on this bike. If you're running smaller bags or boxes, you may not have to extend your turn signals. Now to start this, we will locate the blinker wire running from the turn signal, then pull it out from under the fender. Once that's done, we will cut the blinker wire approximately 2 inches out from the fender. Now we can unthread the nut on the back of the grab handle and slide out the wire while supporting the turn signal. Next, we will install the turn signal onto the extension bar. Make sure to check and pay attention to the orientation. Then we can start by stripping the wires. Now we can insert the blinker wire through the hole in the bar, then through the nut we just pulled off, and leave this loose for adjustment. Once that's installed, we can then connect the signal extension wire by using the provided butt connectors and a crimping tool. Once all the butt connectors are secure, it's a good idea to wrap the connections in electrical tape to protect them from the elements. Now we can mount the extension bar onto the bike. Make sure that the angled end of the bar matches the angle of the grab handle, then use the provided 10mm by 15mm hex bolt through the bar and the grab handle, then the 10mm washer, and then thread it onto a provided 10mm nylock nut. Next we will connect the extension wire down at the fender, again using the provided butt connectors and a crimping tool. Once you get to this step on both sides, it is a good idea to check and make sure your lights are working properly. Once they are, you can then adjust the angle of your blinkers as desired, tighten all the fasteners, and then wrap the connections in electrical tape to protect them from the elements. We will then repeat these steps to complete the other side. Once both sides are installed, we will then tuck any excess wire back up under the fender between the fender and the subframe. Once everything is tucked up nice, you are now done with the install. If you're going to be using the Tusk Panniers with these racks, refer to our Tusk Pannier assembly and installation video. Rocky Mountain ATV MC is the leader for parts, apparel, and accessories for all your dual sport needs. Thanks for watching.